The Lions of Teranga, Senegal's AFCON journey just minutes ago. The final whistle blew, history was made. Senegal stands at the summit of Africa once again. Two stars now shine on their jersey. The Lions of Teranga have conquered the continent. What you are about to witness is the complete journey that led to this glorious moment. Cluster Story. This is Cluster Story, where we take a deep dive into history to get a great understanding of how we got here. Hit the subscribe button, turn on the bell, like and share this video. The birth of a football nation. Before we celebrate today's glory, we must understand the decades that preceded it. Senegal's love affair with football began long before independence. The French colonial era introduced the beautiful game to West African shores in the early 20th century. But it was in 1960, when Senegal gained independence, that football became more than a sport. It became identity, it became pride, it became the heartbeat of a nation. The Lions of Teranga. Teranga means hospitality. In Wolof, the language that echoes through the streets of Dakar. But make no mistake, these lions were never soft. They were warriors disguised in welcoming smiles. Senegal joined the Confederation of African Football in 1962. The journey had officially begun. Nobody knew then that this journey would span over 6 decades of triumph, tragedy, tears, and ultimate glory. The early years. Building the foundation. The 1960s and 1970 seconds were years of learning. Senegal was finding its feet on the continental stage. The competition was fierce. Nations like Ghana, Egypt, and Cameroon dominated African football. Senegal watched, Senegal learned, Senegal waited. The first AFCON qualification came slowly. The infrastructure was minimal. The resources were scarce, but the passion burned brighter than the Saharan sun. Young boys in the streets of Dakar, St. Louis, and kicked makeshift balls through dusty alleyways. They dreamed of wearing the green, yellow, and red. They dreamed of making their nation proud. These were the seeds planted in poverty, watered with determination, destined to grow into something magnificent. The rise of the Lions, 1990 seconds awakening the 1990s, marked a turning point. Senegal began producing players of exceptional quality. The world started noticing these talented Africans with incredible technique and physical prowess. In 1992, Senegal made a statement. They qualified for the Africa Cup of Nations. In Senegal, yes, they were hosting. The pressure was immense. The expectations were sky high. An entire nation believed this was their moment. The tournament began with hope overflowing in every corner of the country. The streets were painted in national colors. Songs echoed from every radio. But football is cruel. The dream ended in the quarterfinals. Heartbreak, the first of many. Yet something had awakened. The Lions had tasted continental competition on home soil. They wanted more. They needed more. 2000, the first final, and the curse begins. The year 2000, the new millennium. Senegal believed destiny was calling. The Africa Cup of Nations was held jointly by Ghana and Nigeria. Senegal arrived with a squad dripping with talent. El Hadji Diouf was emerging as a star. The team played with swagger. They played with purpose. Match after match, the Lions roared. They tore through the competition with a style that captivated the continent. The world was watching. Senegal was arriving. Then came the final, Senegal versus Cameroon. The indomitable Lions against the Lions of Teranga. Two proud nations. One trophy, one destiny. The match was a battle, end-to-end, passion overflowing. Neither side could break the deadlock in regular time. Extra time brought more drama, but no goals. The final would be decided by penalties. And then, devastation. Cameroon converted. Senegal missed. The trophy slipped through their fingers like sand on a Dakar beach. The players collapsed. The fans wept. A nation was broken. But this was only the beginning of the curse. 2002, World Cup glory. AFCON agony 2000 brought one of the greatest moments in African football history. Senegal shocked the world at the FIFA World Cup in South Korea and Japan. They defeated defending champions France in the opening match. The planet watched in disbelief. El Hadji Diouf danced. Papa Bouba Diop scored. Senegal reached the quarterfinals on their World Cup debut. They were heroes, legends, gods walking among men. But the Africa Cup of Nations remained elusive. The same year brought another continental campaign. The same year brought more heartache. The curse was real. The trophy remained a distant dream. Something was blocking Senegal from African glory. Some called it bad luck. Others whispered about darker forces. The Lions kept fighting. The Lions kept falling. 2002 AFCON final. History repeats itself. The 2002 Africa Cup of Nations in Mali presented another opportunity. Senegal, fresh from World Cup preparations, arrived as favorites. The confidence was sky high. The squad was exceptional. Once again, they marched to the final. Once again, they faced destiny. Cameroon stood in their path. The same opponent. The same stakes. The same nightmare waiting to unfold. The script was horrifyingly familiar. A tense match. No goals in regulation. Extra time solved nothing. Penalties. Again and again, Senegal fell. Cameroon lifted the trophy. Senegal lifted only their tears. 2 finals, 2 losses, both to Cameroon, both on penalties. The curse had a face now. It wore the green jersey of the indomitable Lions. El Hadji Diouf, the golden boy, watched his dream shatter twice. The pain was unbearable. The questions were endless. Why Senegal? Why always Senegal? The wilderness years, the years following 2002, were challenging. The golden generation aged. Retirement claimed legends one by one. New stars emerged but failed to replicate the magic. AFCON campaigns came and went. Quarter-final exits became routine. The semi-finals felt like distant memories. The final? That was now a ghost haunting the nation's collective consciousness. 2006 brought another semi-final heartbreak. 2008 saw early elimination. The Lions were stumbling. The roar was fading. Skeptics questioned whether Senegal would ever lift the continental crown. But in the streets of Dakar, in the academies of, in the dreams of young boys, hope never died. The next generation was being forged. Future Lions were learning to hunt. The Sadio Mane era begins. From the village of Bambali emerged a boy who would change everything. Sadio was different. His speed was electric. His determination was unmatched. His smile hid a warrior's heart. His rise through European football was meteoric. Red Bull Salzburg, Southampton, Liverpool. He became one of the best players on the planet, and he carried Senegal's hopes on his shoulders like a crown. The national team transformed. Kalidou Koulibaly anchored the defense. Idrissa Gueye controlled the midfield. Duarte Mendy guarded the goal. This was not just a team. This was a brotherhood bound by a shared mission. The 2019 Africa Cup of Nations in Egypt presented an opportunity. Senegal arrived as favorites. The pressure was immense. Decades of disappointment fueled their hunger. They reached the final. Again, the opponent was Algeria. The stars aligned for an epic clash. 2019 final. So close yet so far. Cairo, July 19, 2019. Senegal versus Algeria. The final the continent deserved. The atmosphere was electric. Senegalese fans traveled in thousands. Green and red painted the stands. Songs echoed through the stadium. This was their moment. This had to be their moment. But football writes its own stories. An early goal from Baghdad Bounidja, a deflected strike that looped over Mendy, gave Algeria the lead. 2 minutes into the match. 2 minutes and Senegal was chasing. They chased for 88 more minutes. They created chances. They hit the post. They did everything except score. The final whistle blew. Algeria celebrated. Senegal mourned. 3 finals, 3 defeats. The curse was now legend. Sadio stood in the center of the pitch, tears streaming down his face. He had given everything. His nation had given everything. It was not enough. It was never enough. The flight back to Dakar was silent. A nation welcomed them as heroes who had fallen in battle. But the pain was visible in every eye. When would this end? When would the suffering stop? Building and redemption's call. The 2019 defeat could have destroyed this generation. Lesser teams would have crumbled. Lesser nations would have accepted fate. But Senegal is not lesser. Senegal is Teranga. Senegal is lion-hearted. Coach Aliou, himself a victim of the 2002 penalty curse as team captain, refused to surrender. He had lived the pain. He had missed a crucial penalty in that fateful final. He carried the weight of a nation's disappointment for 2 decades. Now, as coach, he had a chance at redemption, not just for himself, for every player who had ever worn the jersey and fallen short, for every fan who had cried in defeat, for every child who had ever dared to dream. The team regrouped. They analyzed their failures. They addressed their weaknesses. The 2021 Africa Cup of Nations in Cameroon was approaching. The location was fitting. Cameroon, the nation that had broken them twice. The stage for potential redemption was set in the home of their tormentors. Cameroon 2021, the first title. Senegal arrived in Cameroon with quiet confidence. No arrogance, no bold predictions, just steely determination. The group stage was professional. Victories were secured with minimal drama. The Lions were conserving their energy. They were hunting patiently. The knockout rounds began. Each match was a test. Each victory brought them closer to destiny. Burkina Faso fell in the semi-finals. The path to the final was clear. The opponent, Egypt, Mohamed Salah. The Liverpool connection, teammate versus teammate, friend versus friend. This was personal. This was epic. This was everything. February 6, 2022. The Olembe Stadium, history waiting to be written or repeated. The 2022 final, 70 minutes of agony. The match began with incredible intensity. Senegal dominated possession. Egypt defended desperately. Salah was isolated, was everywhere. Then came the moment, penalty to Senegal. Early in the match, the chance to silence the demons. Stepped up. The nation held its breath. The kick saved. El Shenaoui denied him. The curse whispered in everyone's ear. But something was different this time. Senegal did not collapse. They did not panic. They continued attacking. They continued believing. 90 minutes passed. No goals. Extra time beckoned. 30 more minutes of torture. 30 more minutes of hope and despair dancing together. Extra time ended goalless. Penalties. Again, the word itself triggered collective trauma across Senegal. Penalties had stolen 2 finals. Penalties had broken generations. Penalties were the monster under the bed. Penalties confronting the demon. The shootout began. Egypt scored. Senegal scored. Egypt scored again. Senegal answered. Each kick was a lifetime. Each save was a heart attack. Each goal was a momentary breath, back and forth. They went, neither side blinking, neither side breaking. Then Egypt missed. The door opened slightly. Senegal needed to capitalize. They did. Suddenly, impossibly, the advantage shifted. Egypt missed again. Senegal converted. The mathematics of destiny aligned. Sadio approached the ball. The same man who had missed earlier. The same man who had cried in Cairo. The same man who carried a nation's hopes and fears. One kick. 60 years of waiting for final defeats. Countless tears. One kick to end it all. He looked at the goalkeeper. He looked at the ball. He looked at history. He struck glory at last. The first star, the ball flew into the net. The goalkeeper went the wrong way. The net rippled. Time stopped, then erupted. Ripped off his shirt. His teammates buried him in embraces. The bench emptied. The fans exploded across Senegal. From Dakar to Ziguinchor, from St. Louis to Tambacounda, an entire nation screamed as one. Champions, finally, eternally, champions. Aliou fell to his knees. The man who missed in 2002, the man who endured 2 decades of guilt, the man who rebuilt his nation's pride. He wept tears of pure redemption. The trophy was lifted. The curse was shattered. The Lions of Teranga had finally conquered Africa. 1 star now adorned their jersey. 2023. The defense falls short. The celebrations eventually faded. Reality returned. The 2023 AFCON in Ivory Coast arrived quickly. Senegal, the defending champions, carried a target on their backs. Every team wanted to dethrone them. Every match was a battle. These lions were no longer haunted. They were hunters. They reached the final again. Ivory Coast awaited on home soil. The hosts, the favorites of their own crowd. The 2023 final was different. Senegal arrived as champions but departed as runners-up. Ivory Coast won on home soil. The trophy changed hands, but there was no shame. There was no curse returning. This was simply football. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Senegal had proven they belonged at the top. The hunger remained, the desire burned. 1 star was good, but 2 stars, that would be legendary. Morocco 2025, the road to redemption, the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations, hosted by Morocco, the most ambitious tournament in AFCON history. State-of-the-art stadiums, passionate crowds, the best of Africa gathered once more. Senegal arrived with renewed purpose. The 2023 defeat still stung. Aliou had rebuilt once more. Young talents blended with experienced warriors. The squad was balanced. The mission was clear: reclaim what was theirs. The group stage saw Senegal operate with surgical precision, dominant performances, clinical finishing, defensive solidity. The Lions were making a statement. They were not here to participate. They were here to conquer. The knockout rounds intensified. Each opponent fell. Quarterfinals conquered. Semi-finals dominated. The path to the final was carved with determination and skill. And then the final, the biggest stage, the ultimate test, the opportunity to etch their names in immortality. The 2025 final. Minutes ago, what happened just minutes ago will be remembered for generations. The stadium was packed. Senegalese fans had traveled. In their thousands, the atmosphere was electric. Tension hung in the air like morning mist over the Senegal River. From the first whistle, Senegal imposed themselves. The lessons of previous finals had been learned. No slow starts, no hesitation, pure, unrelenting attack. The match unfolded with incredible drama. Chances were created, chances were missed. The goalkeeper made saves. That seemed impossible. The tension was unbearable. And then the breakthrough. Senegal scored. The stadium erupted. Senegalese fans danced in the stands. But the match was not over. The opponent pushed back. Wave after wave of attacks tested Senegal's resolve. Minutes felt like hours. Each second stretched into eternity. The defense held firm. Kalidou Koulibaly organized. Ouar Mendy commanded. The entire team defended as one unit. The final whistle approached. Hearts pounded across nations. And then it came. The shrill sound that ended everything. The sound that began celebration. Champions again. The second star Senegal had done it. Again. The players collapsed in joy. Tears flowed freely. Embraces lasted forever. The coaching staff joined the celebration. Aliou, the architect of this dynasty, stood tall. 2 AFCON titles, 2 stars, 1 legendary journey. The trophy was lifted once more. This time it felt different. The first title broke the curse. The second title established dominance. Senegal was no longer just a champion. Senegal was a dynasty. 2 stars will now adorn their jersey. 2 symbols of continental supremacy. 2 reminders that persistence conquers all obstacles. The celebration begins as we speak. Celebrations are erupting across Senegal. Dakar is alive with joy. Car horns blare continuously. Fireworks light up the night sky. Strangers embrace in the streets. From the fishing villages of Joel to the ancient city of St. Louis, from the markets of to the beaches of Cap Skirring, every corner of this proud nation celebrates as one. Social media explodes with videos of celebration. Living rooms become dance floors. Restaurants become party venues. An entire nation stops everything to embrace this moment. The players will return home as gods. The parade through Dakar will dwarf anything before. Millions will line the streets. Songs composed minutes ago will echo for years. WHAT this means for Senegal, this second title cements Senegal's place among African football's elite. They join the exclusive club of multiple champions, Egypt, Cameroon, Ghana, Nigeria, and now, undeniably, Senegal. But more than statistics, this victory means hope. It means belief. It means that a small nation of 17 million people can stand shoulder to shoulder with the giants. Young boys watching tonight will dream bigger dreams. Young girls will see no limits to their potential. The next generation of Lions is being inspired right now. In this very moment, football development in Senegal will accelerate, investment will increase, academies will flourish, the pipeline of talent will continue producing world-class players. The legacy of Aliou Cissé, we must pause to honor the architect Aliou, the captain who missed in 2002, the coach who conquered in 2022 and 2025. His journey is the journey of Senegal itself, pain transformed into purpose. Failure converted to fuel, personal tragedy redirected toward national triumph. When history writes the story of Senegalese football, Aliou will occupy the central chapter. He understood what this nation needed. He built teams that reflected Teranga values: hard work, unity, resilience, pride, 2 titles as coach, the curse breaker, the dynasty builder, the legend. The man legacy continues Sadio, the boy from Bombali, the man who made a nation believe. His penalty in 2022 broke chains that had bound Senegal for decades. His leadership in 2025 confirmed his status as the greatest Senegalese footballer ever. When children in Senegal kick footballs in dusty streets, they whisper his name. When academies develop young talent, they use his journey as inspiration. When the national team takes the field, his spirit guides them to AFCON titles, world-class European career, philanthropic work that transforms communities. Sadio is more than a footballer. He is a national treasure, looking to the future, what comes next for the Lions of Teranga. The 2026 World Cup approaches. Senegal will arrive as African champions. The world will watch with new respect. The expectations will be enormous. The pressure will be immense. But this team thrives under pressure. This team converts expectations into motivation. This team has proven time and again that they deliver when it matters most. Beyond the World Cup, more AFCON titles await. The 2027 tournament will present another opportunity. Can Senegal achieve 3? Can they establish unprecedented dominance? The answer lies with the next generation, already training in academies across the nation. The complete journey let us reflect on what we have witnessed, from colonial-era beginnings to continental supremacy, from 1960s dreams to 2025 reality, from heartbreaking defeats to triumphant victories. Final loss to Cameroon on penalties. Final loss to Cameroon on penalties. Final loss to Algeria. Champions at last. Runners-up to Ivory Coast. Champions once more. 6 finals, 2 victories, 2 stars, 1 incredible journey. The curse is not just broken. The curse is forgotten. Senegal no longer carries the weight of past failures. They carry the confidence of proven champions. The spirit of Teranga. What makes Senegal special is not just football talent. It is the spirit of Teranga that infuses everything they do. Hospitality, generosity, community. These values shape the national character. They shape how the team plays. They shape how victories are celebrated. When Senegal wins, they share joy with the continent. When Senegal competes, they represent African excellence. When Senegal speaks, the football world listens. This is bigger than trophies. This is cultural identity expressed through sport. This is a nation's soul on display for the world too. Admire conclusion. The Lions roar eternal. Minutes ago, history was made. Tonight, a nation celebrates. Tomorrow, the legacy grows. Senegal's AFCON journey teaches us profound truths. Persistence defeats all obstacles. Belief manifests reality. Unity creates strength. Redemption is always possible. From dusty streets to continental thrones. From tears of defeat to tears of glory. From one star. The Lions of Teranga have written their names in African football immortality. The journey is not over. It never ends. New challenges await. New opponents will rise. New finals will be contested. But tonight, in this moment, Senegal stands supreme. 2-time champions, dynasty established, legacy secured. The Lions of Teranga, forever roaring, forever conquering, forever proud. You just witnessed history explain the complete journey of Senegal in AFCON, from heartbreak to glory, from one star to two. If this story moved you, hit that subscribe button right now. Turn on notifications so you never miss out on them. Like this video, share it with every football fan, share it with someone who witnessed this historic night. Drop a comment below. Tell us your favorite moment from Senegal's journey. Tell us where you watched the final tonight. Let us build a community of history lovers together. Cluster Story, where history comes alive, where stories are told, where legends are celebrated. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being part of this moment. The Lions have conquered again.